In preparing for this video, I just learned something new, and so this is pretty cool for me. I'm about to tell you about some capabilities the NTFS has that the FAT32 file system does not have. And then the surprise, I will tell you that I'm lying to you. So these are the advantages of NTFS, and by proxy we can say that they are disadvantages of FAT32 file system. NTFS is capable of encryption. FAT32 is not. NTFS is capable of compression. FAT32 is not. And NTFS has something called journaling, which FAT32 does not have. Now, some disadvantages of NTFS. It is not very efficient with small file sizes. If you have a lot of small file sizes, stick with FAT32. It's a very simple file system, and that's why a lot of vendors still use it. But also unstable with removable media. So if I have a flash drive like this, and it seems like I would want NTFS, right? Because I want to be able to use encryption and compression on that. Not a good idea. The reason it's not a good idea is because of this journaling piece. So journaling means that it's constantly self-checking. It's reading and writing data and checking data and doing checksums in order to be able to reconstruct if there's a crash, if it gets corrupt. Well, because it's reading and writing, if you pull that flash drive out of the USB slot while one of those writes is going on, you very quickly corrupt that flash drive. And that's why almost all flash drives use some form of FAT, whether it be FAT32 or EXFAT, which is a newer version. Most of them use FAT because it does not do that journaling in the background, and thus it's less likely to be corrupt if you pull that thing out of the slot when you're not supposed to. Now, encryption and compression. I'm going to open two folders here, and they have the exact same file on them. All I did was create it in one and then copy it over to the other. As a matter of fact, just for fun, let's do that just to prove it. I'm going to just copy this and paste it here. Now, this one is on my D drive on my PC, and so this one is on an NTFS file system. This one is on a removable disk E, which is a flash drive that I've got plugged in above me here. You can't see it, but I have a little set of ports here. So this is a removable drive into FAT32. Now I'm going to right-click on the one over here on my hard drive and go to Properties, and then down here to Advanced on the General tab, and you'll see that I have compression and encryption. Well, if I click compression, no problem. I will be compressing this so that I will be saving disk space. If I click encryption, interestingly, compression goes away. I can't have these two simultaneously checked. You'd think that they would use a radio button for this, but I suppose they didn't because you may not want either one, and so you could clear them both. That's probably the reason for that, doing that. But there's a reason, by the way, that you can't do both, because compression works by finding repeating bit patterns. Encryption works by scrambling everything up, so those bit patterns go away. So you can't do them both, but you can do one or the other. Let's look at the one over here that's on a FAT32, and this is where the big surprise comes in, the new thing I was just talking about. I'm going to go ahead and click Advanced, and you'll see here that now that I have encryption, but I do not have compression. Because this is on a FAT32 drive, compression goes away. But why is encryption here if I said that FAT32 does not support encryption? Well, this was the surprise to me. Windows 10 pulls some tricks behind the scenes in order to make it encryptable. So this is new since Windows 10, but it is not a function of the file system itself. It is not a function of the FAT32 file system. It is a function of Windows 10 in the background. If I were to do this on a Windows 7 machine, I would not have either of these available to me. And so this was a shock to me. I learned that it was something new in some of the recent versions of Windows 10. So anyway, let's stick to our guns here and say NTFS can do encryption, compression, and journaling, whereas FAT32 cannot. Now, the question you might have is, what about REFS? Yes, the new REFS does all of these things and much more. It's just much more complex, but it's kind of a complicated explanation, and I don't think that we need to get into it here because it would just muddy the waters a little bit. And all you need to know is the fact that it does support all three of these things that NTFS does.